Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome back. This is another course that I'm creating specifically for you, and I've got a really big treat for you today. I've got a client of mine at Lead Mining who's actually seen some success with us, and he's informed me about all of these tools that he created in AI. He actually calls them real estate GPTs, and he's created quite the library of tools. So I'm really excited to cover these AI tools with you today and talk to you how they can serve you in your business. So super excited about that. And his name's John. John, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing awesome. I'm really excited to be here, Nick. Thanks for talking about this with me. I know, yeah, we've talked about some of the success I've had working with you and getting leads. And you know, when I get those leads, obviously you got to work them, and I'm always looking for more time. And this is the system I'm using to take those leads and turn them into something. And so I'm really excited to talk about those and share them with everyone else.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I remember you hired us, I think like 4 months ago, and then you saw early success, which is always great. And then I saw you posting about how you didn't even tell me on that meeting at the time that you had this repertoire that you were building, this armory, this treasure chest. And then later I saw you posting on Facebook and I'm like, hey, like, you're like, I'm building this tool. And I was like, hey, were you using this? Was it? And, I'm always looking at ways to make my clients' lives easier, right? Their analytics is the hardest part of what we do in real estate. I think the people's kind of the easy part, but the people plus the math and the analyzing and the evaluating, leave that to stronger brains. That's something that, I totally agree with. Let us focus on the emotions. Let the computers focus on the numbers. And I really think that that's a beautiful, solution. So as soon as you saw that, I was like, hey, we got to talk. Let's figure this out. So anyways, I'm super excited to explore this with you, but, tell us a little bit, who are you? Where did you come from? And why did you create these tools?
I think, well, good segue. Who am I? I am the person who really enjoys the analytical side of things. That's like really, really my lane and where my brain lives. And so, um, you know, my journey to get to where I am was a lot of school for a lot of years, and then always wanted to be buying rentals and get into real estate. And even before I started buying, I just had this intuition that the direct to seller game, right, as part of your business is really the base of the pyramid. And so if you can get that working down low and get those deals up there, that's just going to set you up for success in the rest of the real estate. You got all the exit strategies in front of you.
Right. That's right.
And so when I got out of school and I started buying rentals, I worked as a data scientist professionally, building, my day job, building predictive models, building AI tools for startups and multinational corporations. It was like, how do I get that into my real estate business so I can leverage, that skill that I have, leverage that time efficiency, and put it into my own real estate business. And then relatively, I guess this last year was when everything kind of clicked and put together this whole system of, basically going from marketing and lead generation all the way through the deal underwriting analysis. Like I said, I'm the technical person, so the negotiation. How do I have an AI assistant help me with the negotiation of things? How do I make sure my business keeps growing and operating consistently instead of just plugging in an end-to-end system with these AI tools so that I could just run more efficiently. Again, it's kind of that's where my brain works. That's where I kind of come from in my background, and it's been, I think it's been great for me in my business. I've been seeing growth for myself, and I'm excited to keep seeing it grow. Like I said, excited to get these tools out to some other people.
Well, yeah, and what I love about this too is, I'm even pretty techie and I am so far behind on how amazing AI is. I've got one of my managers right now at Lead Mining just built me like a website in like 3 hours. And I was like, well, this has everything like this is perfect. How did you and no offense, but I know he didn't create it, right? It's like something like this would take a lot longer than that. And at first I was like, wow, this is brilliant. And then I went back and looked at it and I was like, this is so brilliant. And then today I just met with him and I go, how did you use AI? And he goes, yeah, I put it into Claude and I told it that I'm using GHL and then it gives me the exact code and then I paste it and I was like, I didn't even know that this was a thing. And then I also thought, thank God that someone I pay has the wherewithal to go and seek out tools, right? And I guess what I'm alluding to is what I love about what you did is even I know I don't understand how amazing AI is and how powerful it can be and how programmable it is. And, it's not like it was when it first came out. I think a lot of us dove into it and it was just like maybe like a prompting Google, right? It's just it wasn't super advanced. Now it like remembers shit. It can program it. It can update internal analysis. It's like a brain you can move the levels on. And so, anyways, I just want to share like that breakthrough I was talking about was just today. Okay, it's like it was beautiful, and I was like, wow, like I'm so far behind. And so I think one way to look at this is one, we're getting access to these tools too, but maybe we're also building our muscle with realizing the capability of AI because that's something I'm a little bit behind on, and something that I need to start really getting freshen up. If I don't jump on soon, I'm going to be, left behind. I think you use AI perfectly. You use it as your coach. I mean, it's like, tell me about negotiations. Tell me about the quality of this lead. Tell me about the property, and I think that's the best use. I don't think AI running your business is the best use and those other things, but I do think AI as a amazing sounding board is really just so brilliant.
Yep. And I want to add because you said some really, I think, really important things there, which is, you started with how, give me the people and the emotions and the communication, right? As like that's your skill set. Well, what you can do, right, with these tools now is it now puts you in a place where, you know, you have that communication, but now you're doing it with this AI tool that understands deal analysis. So now you're walking through, here's how I'm thinking about this deal. And you can, I have some prompt templates that I share with people so they can do some things, but also it really just comes down to you getting out of your head to this program that now understands deal analysis. Say like, I'm going to get this thing. I think I could get it for this much, but then how am I going to make money on it? And so I have a story I could share actually about a new deal structure I learned from a coach. And I was like, well, how do I make money on that? And I went and talked to the deal analyzer. Here's the outline of the deal structure. Make me an Excel model so I can see actually where would I be profiting if I did this? Like, sure, this is a cool deal structure, but am I going to make any money
Yeah,
if I do
explain
it?
it to me. Right?
Like, I
give,
don't know how
give
to
me the
model
numbers.
this.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
And so I think that's just really important is you're it's not, I don't do the pie in the sky like you're gonna have to walk away and you won't have to do anything or work in your business, right? Um, but what I do tell people is now you have something where you're sitting in the middle of the system and you're making sure that each piece is getting the right information so you can get the right information back and you're just plugging that into your tools as you move your deal through the pipeline.
yeah. And one way to look at it too is you're improving your inputs, right? As it's like, you're putting the data that you're finding into a smart computer, and then that computer is now giving you inputs, and then you now go and deliver that to the seller. And that's a good point you focused on. You didn't say the word, but the word is confidence, right? Whenever you feel properly guided and properly supported, right? And like what you're doing, you're going to move. Hey, you know what, man? That said some really good stuff to me. Wow, wow, I have so much confidence now. I can't wait to use that one line that it gave me, and then you're smiling because I'm sure that happened to you, right? It's like and then you're like, wow. And now to your point, if you were previously nervous about communication, guess what? It just got easier. If you're nervous about analyzation, it just got easier. And I think that's a really cool way to look at this. Dude, I'm pumped. I'm pumped. Cool. Well, dude, let's move on to the next thing, just because I'm actually excited myself. Um, so tell me, what was was that what caused you to create these tools? Was, you kind of alluded to it previously, but was it just hyper efficiency that kind of brought you there?
Yeah, there's really two things. I mean, personally, I'm, like I said, very technical, analytical, and very systems based thinking. Um, and so I like to see things moving through the process. I want to make sure things don't get missed. And that gives me confidence, right? And that I'm doing the right thing at the right times and that I'm going to take home profit at the end of the day, which is like, again, the point of being in business ultimately is to turn a profit. Um, and my personal mindset in real estate investing is that, I want to get as much time leverage as I possibly can. Right? There's lots of things I want to be doing in life. I have 4 kids that I want to spend time with. And so every moment of time that I can not be working in or on the business, that I can leverage a tool or an employee or whatever it is to get back my time, that's a win for me. And I think we all talk about in real estate the passive income dream. And yeah, you can get there, but it takes work, right? It takes a lot of time to be able to get that time payoff. And so along the way, um, I want my system set up so that I can realize as much time efficiency as I can. I can be as confident as I can in my numbers, and I can be as confident as I can when talking to sellers. And so that's the other side of this, which is, right, I don't come from a sales background. I'm not as comfortable on the phone talking to sellers. I can do a really good job being friends with them, right? But bringing the sales aspect into it, like that's just, I need a lot more reps, right? I don't want to say I'm bad at, but I just need more practice than maybe the next guy. And so, like with the sales manager GPT, as soon as I get off the call with someone, I open up my tool, I hit the dictate button, and I just brain dump everything that just happened in that conversation. And then I'm getting next steps, questions I missed. What could I have done better? How is this lead scoring? And then I have that. So next time, okay, I need to ask those questions. This is what I could have done better. And now I have the AI knows the whole context of this lead, of their situation. And then that helps me drive the next conversations. It helps me inform the analysis and the underwriting. How am I going to take this deal down? What are they going to want, right, in an offer? And so you start putting those pieces together. And so now I feel better in the sales, and the sales also is talking to the underwriter.
Right. No, I really, yeah, there's a couple things you mentioned there that I think are really good. One was time. And I think when you say time, you're like, well, look, I could figure out how to comp a property like a pro manually. Yeah, I mean, I could figure that out, but what's that? A, how much time is that going to take me? B, how much failure? Oh, comp that one wrong. I forgot to add the pool in. Oh, I just lost 10K, right? So it's like, not only are you saving time by leaving it in the hands of a capable mind or a computer,
Hmm.
um, but you're also reducing failure, right? Because at least when I learn, I actually try to make mistakes when I learn, as much as possible, because I know they're going to happen. I'd rather have them happen early, right? But I think a piece I didn't, you're kind of skipping the step, right? We can now learn with hindsight, even if we don't have it ourselves, right? This AIs, they're scouring the internet. They know what the videos say. They know who Robert Kiyosaki is. They know how the numbers work. So it's also a really cool way to gain so much
Mm.
additional knowledge, right, in a short concise space. And you're like, yeah, I could. So when I hear time, just so you know, I hear that too. It's like, yeah, I could do this the hard way and roll my sleeves up. I could be the best guy to make burgers by making 10,000 hamburgers. Yeah, I could totally do that. But instead, I bought a hamburger machine that knows how to make the best hamburger in the world. And I think that's a good transition. And I also like how you're saying, like, all the departments are talking to each other, and in a way they're getting congruent information, right? And I think that, I don't know if anyone else is hearing that, but as you plug the numbers in and then you go to the negotiation tool. It's not just giving you tips. It's likely, and you can clarify this, but I'm pretty sure I'm right here. It's using your exact deal structure to give you the exact words on how to even portray that deal. So when you give them the deal structure and you give them, like, let's say a creative finance deal, and you ask it to negotiate, that information is not completely separate. It knows the numbers that we are also attempting to negotiate. So in a way, it's explaining it to the seller and it's explaining it better to you, right? As I bet you're like, oh shit, okay, like you said about create the model, it's kind of explaining it to you as well.
Yep, and that's the point of having not just like, you know, oh yeah, I analyze my deals in ChatGPT. Well, it's like, no, this is a specific tool on top of ChatGPT, and then you bring all the tools together. Now you have a whole system, right? So it's like as you're working a lead, you're talking through each of these different parts, and you're keeping that information together. You're building your own knowledge. You're building a nice package for the seller, and you're just really putting everything together.
Yeah, I love that. And now I think is a great time, because we've been talking about some of the benefits. If you could tell us what you have created, okay? And then when you get a deal, what, because you've created quite a few tools, right?
Hmm.
And that work in congruent. But then how, when you get a lead, what process of tools do you put them through to then get to your end result? That'd be great for
Yeah.
everyone to see.
So I have a fun story where I can walk through almost all of the pieces together. So, you like you said, I've been putting out a lot of content on social media, um, and you reached out. I had a local property manager reach out, and he wanted to learn more about AI. And there's a tool that's part of this system. It's a social media content plan. And so, right, starting with marketing. So I had this property manager reach out, and while talking to him, I told him, "Hey, I got to do a 1031 exchange. I need to buy a place. I got to find it in like 20 days, running out of time." And he set me up, made a referral to one of his clients who's retiring, selling the rest of his portfolio. So I talked to him. I think maybe he maybe help you out. You'll be able to find something to buy for your exchange. Um, so I talked to the guy, just exchanged some emails. We agreed to meet for lunch and show up to lunch 10 minutes early. Haven't had a chance to run any numbers on the place. I don't know anything about the properties except the addresses. And in the 10 minutes I'm sitting in the parking lot before walking to the restaurant, I pull up my ARV GPT on my phone and I get comp reports for each of the properties that we're talking about. So now I got something in my back pocket if he asks me, what do you think they're worth? I can say something that sounded like an idiot, and I could point to real comps if I needed to, right? I didn't want to do that. I wanted to go into lunch and just have lunch with the guy and see if we were a good fit, right? But I also wanted to be prepared. So 10 minutes at the beginning of the deal, ARV GPT. After lunch, he says, all right, well, I'll email you what I want for the places. I say, I will do an analysis and tell you what I can pay for them. Right. And we got to know each other. We built the rapport, and that's where we left things at lunch. So he sends me his email. I do my full underwriting with the deal analyzer GPT. So that's kind of the next piece here. And we were like $100,000 apart. Pretty wide gap,
Yeah.
obviously, but that's what I figured out I could pay and get my investment returns that I wanted.
Right. That's right.
Um, and with such a large gap, I'm thinking this guy's probably not going to go for it. So I bring in the Creative Deal Advisor GPT that's part of this tool set, take that cash offer analysis, plug it into the Creative Deal Advisor, and just say, no fancy prompting, just here's my first analysis for a cash offer. Here's what I know about the seller. Here's what I want to get on the deal. Right? There's no special crazy thing, just here's the situation. Get like, 3 or 4 ideas of some alternative structures I could propose so I could pay his price but get my terms. And then, as we've said, I'm pretty analytical. So if I was like, all right, now how do I send this over to this guy? Like, I'd probably way too quickly get way down into the weeds of how these different structures would work, right? That's where my brain goes. So I take the two analyses, plug them into my sales manager, and again say, here's these two different offer structures I put together for the seller. Draft me an email that just high level presents these offers so that I can send him back to him and see what he's thinking. Here's option one, here's option two. Cash offer, creative offer. He actually picked the cash offer when presented those offers. He wanted me to come up 25. I went back, played my numbers a little bit more, came up at 11. So instead of, being $100,000 apart, he came down, was at $89,000, and said, all right, let's do that. Go ahead and write up the contract. And so I think that story just, right, visualizes, okay, you start with marketing. There's a tool to help with that. When you get a lead, right, you can use the ARV GPT. There is, I call it Flip Scope AI, but there's a rehab and scope of work planner. So if you got pictures, property descriptions, you can start putting together your scope of work and some rough rehab estimates. You plug those into the deal analyzer GPT to get the offer you want for whatever exit you want to take. And then if you need to, you can put it into the creative deal advisor and get some other structures. And then you hand it off to the sales manager, and now you know how to present your offer to the seller. And so you got confidence in your numbers, you got confidence in your offer presentation. And those are the big pieces of, going from lead to contract, profitable deal.
Yeah, which is so important, which is actually why I wanted to have you on here because what I'm trying to do, if you guys have noticed with these people I'm introducing you to, is they are people that are in between the lead and the contract, right? I give you guys a course, I give you guys a script, I give you guys like the emotional side, just like we may have alluded to earlier, right? So now the emotional side is more or less taken care of. We know what to say to start. But a lot of what I give you is just an icebreaker. I don't really give you necessarily negotiation skills and ins and outs. So when I saw John posting about how he's utilizing it, and then knowing his success also with lead mining, I was like, this is a great pairing because you've used this to close deals through us, and now it's you're making it available. I asked him, I said, are these personal? I think that was my question to you
Yeah.
because I didn't know. And I don't even know if I think he was wanting to do a business, but I hadn't been there yet. He'd only been used. I was like, is this personal or is this public or tell me about what you're doing here? And I think this tool is already kind of exciting me. I'm excited for people to use it. I think one thing we should add to this is afterward, you just throw up a demo of exactly what it looks like. It will be a separate video than this. That way people can just kind of see it. But yeah, and then what everyone is about to hear is the pricing and then, how great this is. So it's like, you're really getting, I mean, I'm hearing more like AI mentoring, right? I know that's not like you call them real estate GPTs. They're actual tools to help you. But, what I'm really seeing is thinking about confidence, the guidance, the support. And even my clients, I go, hey, call me. Even if I don't know the answer, at least I'm someone educated to bounce stuff off of.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm getting at with these tools is it's now the same thing as it's like, hey, it's somebody, something worthwhile to have, in your tool belt. But I know you've got an exclusive price for everyone who uses lead mining and stuff too. So I'm really excited to cover that. So tell us, how much do you normally charge for these services? And then what will you would or do we charge lead mining clients?
Yep. Normally, if you go to realestategpts.com, and you'll see three sign up options. You can get, well, first, anyone can get the deal analyzer for free. That's on there. Anyone wants it for free, check it out. They can do that. For normal $29 a month subscription, you get the ARV GPT plus obviously the free deal analyzer. So if you just feel like you need to be able to run comps faster, easier, quicker, you're going to save yourself more than $29 worth of time in a month with that tool. If you go to tier two, normally be $79 a month. That is the ARV GPT, the rehab estimator, and the creative deal advisor. And then again, also you get the free deal analyzer. So I refer to that as kind of like the deal desk. So that's, once you have a lead, you can do all your underwriting. You got all the pieces there to craft awesome offers. It's up to you then to figure out how to present those offers, right? But that's kind of the deal desk package. And normally for all 9 tools all together, so you can go from marketing all the way through business operations and negotiations, 149 a month would be the normal subscription for that. For Lead Mining Pros clients, we're going to do 149 one time ever. That's it. And you get ongoing access. So we're going to do away with the subscription. You just got to do one time 149. And we'll have I think, write a link either you'll send out or will be available through this course that you guys can use to get access to that.
And guys, I kind of negotiated that because I'm not the biggest fan of overhead as well. And I was like, hey, if like we can just offer this to all of my people, that would be great. I love Lifetime myself. Like if it's Lifetime, I'm like always all over it. I go to this website called AppSumo that I'm sure maybe some people have heard of, but everything they do is Lifetime, and I just love that about it. So I love that vibe. So I wanted to negotiate this for all of you guys, and because this is the perfect pairing. Like with lead mining, everyone gets my cell phone number, but I can tell you that the video that he's going to create of the walkthrough, that's going to become like our training manual on how exactly we're going to use this. I'm going to learn about it so I can start directing you guys, hey, plug it in here. Hey, you know what? I've got it. I'll plug it in mine real quick. And then if you're interested, go check it out, because I think that we all need, all of us, even in lead mining, I'm starting to use more AI. It feels amazing to have a high powered brain, and you can, I have a saying in my family, but you can like take a load off, hey, as long as I tell it the right stuff, read the info, good. I can focus on my kids now. I can focus on my family. I didn't have to have 100 hours experience to get to this same conclusion. And there is a relief to that. And that's why I allow people to call me. And that's why I'm getting these real estate GPTs in front of you, because I think between me, my leads, and these tools, yeah.
Yep. And I'll add there's one more story too that I want to share um, that happened recently using these tools. Another actually 1031 situation where again I'm trying to buy something under a time crunch and negotiating with the sellers. Got some properties. They're really nice. I really wanted them, and I came in my initial offer as probably most of us try to do, right, lower than maybe I should have, particularly since I needed to buy some properties to see out this 1031 exchange. And there was another investor doing the same thing. And so the guy called me back and said, "Hey, your first offer was close, but it was a little low. Is that the best you can do?" And I told him when I made the first offer, like, this is I don't know anything about these. This is where I'm starting. Call me back if we're close, and we'll work something out. Well, I had done my analysis with the ARV GPT it was 2 duplexes that he was selling. And the ARV that I got back from that was between 300 and 315,000. And I originally offered 215. They're in good shape. I knew someone else wanted to buy them. I knew he had appraisals from about 2 years ago that were at like 225 and 240. So while I'm on the phone with him, right, I've got the ARV GPT analysis in my head. I know that some guy's trying to outbid me. I know that he's probably not trying to pay much more than I am. But I also knew from my numbers and the deal analysis that I could pay the 225 and the 240 and still hit all my green check marks. And so right there, I've made the decision, you know what? I'm not going to screw around with this 1031 exchange. I'm going to tell him I'll give you the appraised value. He's thrilled. The other guy's calling me, how'd you pay that much? Right? Well, because I was confident in my numbers.
Right.
When that deal went through appraisal, it came back one at 300 as is, one at 315 as is. I mean, it was spot on. And so that's just like in the moment, having, those numbers in my head from the tools made all the difference. I mean, that was more than 6 figures of equity walking
Right.
away with at the closing table.
Right.
And it's from just having the numbers, being confident in the numbers from the tools, knowing those comps were legit because it gives them to me and I can see them, and being able to make those decisions, quick when they matter.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. And also not undercutting yourself too. I think so much comes out of just being really decisive, in the moment. And I'll tell you, and if something does pop up, you can check out a retrade or you can do, whatever it takes. But it's like that's the other part of all this too, is it's like, also being flexible. But I love that you knew the numbers, you knew that they were going to work. And, you don't have to play. My dad does that all the time. We almost did that with this house, this waterfront house I'm living in now. You know, we found it and he thinks he's like negotiating for houses like it's 1990 again. And he's like, tell them you'll pay them this and that. And the guy's like, kick rocks. And then I called the guy up myself. I find it the owner of this property's house. And I was like, what do we have to do to buy this house? 6 months after I bought it, it went up 40% in value. And it's like here I am fighting over 10K and I made 400K in 6 months. It does, and I think that again, the decisiveness is and just going for it. And you know what, again, buying the house, something crazy is wrong with it. We'll talk about that because they have to get it fixed if they want to sell it to somebody else
Yep.
too. Right. you know,
Yep.
but no, yeah, I love that how the decisiveness won the deal in that scenario because I can totally relate. Um, but awesome, John. And so I know we're going to be providing a link, but let's just say someone wants to follow you on Facebook or anything like that. How can anybody find you who's looking for you? Maybe reach out directly, tell you what a great job you did here today, or anything like that.
Yeah, I think right now I'm most active on Facebook. So you can find me John Maxey on Facebook, and I tell people, my dad's also John Maxey, so pick the one with hair, not the one without hair. And then, or you can email me, John at realestategpts.com.
Awesome.
But Facebook messages, email, those are all the easiest ways I think to get a hold of me.
Cool. Awesome, man. Well, thank you for being here today. I'm excited for the next little walkthrough video. I've got some cool ideas for that I'll share with you. And yeah, man, let's make this successful. We got a group coaching call. I'd love to have you on as well to cover some of these tools. I think this would go over wonderfully.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, well, thanks for being here. Thanks for making this stuff. I appreciate you having the aptitude to see it through, right? I think, a lot of us have an idea, and there's a big difference between sitting on the couch and thinking we want to do something compared to actually doing it, So I really appreciate you putting this together. I know it wasn't easy. And then to turn it into a business, that makes it even harder. But dude, I'm thankful. I'm thankful you walked this path so I didn't have to. And then we've got this great pricing, 149 for life, one time for everyone. So I think that's and I thank you for that as well. I'm actually going to buy a copy for my company as well and my team just to have it. So and
Awesome.
I thank you for that. So appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to, like I said, I'm very excited about sharing this with people. It's definitely, you know, everyone is good at something, and there's, when you're running these businesses, there's just parts that aren't your favorite thing to do. And, like I said, like, sure, I could become a great salesman, but I don't know where I'm going to get my 20,000 reps in. I just don't know. But what I have is this piece of the tool, and it's the same thing if it's, making social media posts, if it's underwriting the deal, right? There's pieces of this where everyone can plug into, like, well, I'm actually the world's best negotiator. All right. There's the whole rest of the system,
That's right.
and there's going to be things that, everyone's going to want to use and use more than others.
And something that just came to me as well, and we'll end it with this is the reality is people are using VAs for the same shit. How many VAs are they having call the lead who don't know anything about negotiations? Most people in this industry just hire anybody who's willing to do what they don't want to do. And I think this is a different angle. And this is also why I love this. Get away from that VA. That VA is costing you 200 bucks a week, 500, whatever that is. 1,000 bucks a month is the average full-time VA. Okay. And I can tell you right now, they're not doing you the favor you think they are. If you need those reps, you need these skills. So even if your VA does get good, what happens when they walk out on you in 3 weeks, or a tsunami hits their home or something like that? Like really, like then your whole business goes with it. My favorite thing about what you've created is it empowers the investor. And that's what needs to be empowered here. And guys, take that for what it is. Use this tool, make your life easier. As soon as you make your life easier, then we could put it off on somebody else, right? I think people make the common mistake, and I see it all, especially in my world. They go to the VA first. I just wrote a post the other day saying, if a VA is running your business, it's not going to last long, right? And I think this is a reminder. You run your business, you use the tools. Okay. And I think it's going to strengthen your skills. Then once your skills are strengthened, then we can begin to duplicate ourselves, and hire us out. And that's why I love this. I'm a big fan of roll the sleeves up and do it yourself guy. I'm not the automate everything guy, hire a VA right away guy. I'm like, if you haven't done it 20 times, you should not be hiring someone else to do it. So
Yep.
I think one of the secret things is use AI instead of a VA. That's one of the taglines that I'm really thinking like for marketing for you. Because if you really think about, people have VAs do their comps. What? You know how bad at math some VAs are? I mean, it's crazy. Okay. Trust me, I've got a couple, and I think this is just such a cool tool. And I bet they're paying that VA way more than the cost of your software too. So anyways,
Yeah, I don't know any VAs that are 149 for life.
yeah, yeah, dude, even at your subscription price, it's still probably cheap, but dude, 100%. And guys, that's what I want us envisioning. Are we currently paying someone to do this? What quality job are they doing? Could I replace that with this? I mean, this might immediately save you on overhead. And that's exactly what we're trying to do here. Get the most results, for the least costs.
Yep. Well,
Awesome.
Nick, thank you for thanks for putting this together, and I'm very excited about getting this out there for everyone.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. Well, thank you, bro. We'll chat soon. See ya.